we had just kind of spoken about addiction to adrenaline. And so I was going down there doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be doing, cocaine. And then once I left the agency, I kind of started building a network down there.
So last week, guys, I did a video on the cartel activities that was taking place here on Fort Bragg as it relates to special operations and the role we play in it. And I found this clip with Shawn Ryan that I will link in the pinned comment and also in the description box for you guys to go check out. And it just shows that the incident that took place here at Bragg is not an isolated event, right? It's not a one-off. Because when you think of the type of people that are recruited into these entities, whether it's the Ranger Battalion dudes that, you know, back in the early 90s ended up robbing a bank out in Washington, or Green Berets that got rolled up at the gate because they were smuggling cocaine, or Delta Force dudes, or 160th. Guys, when you recruit this type of individuals, right, with questionable morals that are easily hooked on adrenaline, and that is willing to do some of the things that other people won't do, they're going to go and do things that normal people won't do, i.e. working with the cartel, i.e. going down to Colombia and doing, you know, hood shit. All right, let's listen to what Shawn Ryan experienced, and then I'll give you guys my 2 cents. Let's get into this one.
Which a lot of that was in Colombia.
Since documented in shows like Narcos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I decided I wanted to go check it out down there. And so I
mean, that's crazy talk. Just like as a pin in this that's crazy talk. Nobody looks at a show like Narcos or Panama and says, yes, I want to go there. That's all normal people are like, thank God that's down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was for a number, I wanted to see, I wanted to be in a jungle environment. And so I went to check it out, had a great time. And so I just kept going back, all the way past my time at the agency. But then it turned into, we had just kind of spoken about addiction to adrenaline. And so I was going down there doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be doing, cocaine. And then once I left the agency, I kind of started building a network down there.
Now, Shawn mentioned addiction to adrenaline. If you've never been to war, if you've never hunted people and been hunted by people yourself, no other drug exists that can satisfy that adrenaline rush, right? Being on the battlefield, slinging lead, maneuvering, out-strategizing your enemy and get to the point where you take their lives. Guys, nothing like that exists as far as cocaine, heroin. Nothing could replicate that high, right? But these guys, you know, i.e. Shawn and some of these other dudes, they were willing to push the envelope and find anything that comes reasonably close to what they faced in combat, right? So what you're hearing from Shawn is what a lot of us go through. I went through it. My buddies are going through it. It's just a matter of sometimes hitting rock bottom and figuring it out. You know what? I need to redirect that energy or else I'm going to end up dead. And in the case of, you know, Billy Levine and some of these other individuals, they did end up dying. And in some instances, you know, most folks don't have anybody left to police them up, right? So they end up going down a path that they can't come back from, right? Some end up dead, some end up in jail. Countless stories like that exist around the special operations community, right? Some of whom you may heard of, some you haven't.
And it was exciting to me. I was in overseas, building my own network, kind of felt like I was kind of running my own operations.
What kind of operations?
Drug networks. And so I wanted to see how deep into the kind of narcos network I could get myself. But
this was not for crime fighting.
No, this was
for crime committing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I kind of started at street level and built a network out and went to clubs and met people and found my guys and started testing cocaine and finding the best stuff and I found it.
Well, there you go, guys. Again, this just happened to be in Medellin. However, just imagine how many Shawn Ryans we have around the country that we don't know about, chasing that adrenaline that is working on behalf of the cartel. All right, you guys let me know. Do you think what he's talking about here is taking place in the States? We know for a fact around the Fort Bragg area, some of that stuff exists. But how many other installations do you think this takes place at? Seventh group, right? You had 2 guys get busted with freaking duffel bags full of cocaine getting smuggled to the States. Do you think those incidences were isolated, or do you think there's more of that going on? Let me know. Let's keep watching.
And that lasted for a couple years, and I would just bounce. I mean, it was really, I got a lot of satisfaction out of the adrenaline and just seeing how much I could embed myself into these different cultures. And so then I started flying all over South America. I started going to Peru and starting to build network there, in Dominican Republic and Panama, all over Colombia.
Again, guys, when you have the skill sets that we have, when you go through the training that we've gone through, when you survive some of the situation that we face downrange, you almost develop like that godlike complex to where you can do anything that you put your mind to. You can achieve anything, right? To include going down to Colombia and establishing a cocaine ring, right? Or being around the Fort Bragg area and getting involved in cocaine and creating an entire organization, right? These are just some of the things that go through our minds. And if it's not cocaine, it's probably some other, task that others may think is unachievable, but we look at it as, oh, here's a problem, I'm gonna try to solve it, right? Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just how we're wired, guys. That's just how we think. Some of us go down the path of destruction. Some of us find another way to redirect that energy, all right?
All over the country and Costa Rica. And then I started looking up the most dangerous places you could go in the world. And at the time it was San Pedro Sula, Honduras. So I went there and started, I didn't get very far there, but that was my life for several years.
Wow.
I wouldn't tell them exactly what I'm doing, but they knew. Everybody kind of knew, I started losing friends. I know the conversations were like, oh yeah, he's down in Colombia and nobody really hears from him anymore.
That's wild that he just kind of disappeared and was doing his own thing down there. No one really policed him up, right? While we're on the topic of Colombia, guys, not too long ago, I ended up taking a trip down to Medellin, same spot where Shawn Ryan established his cocaine ring, and I did some work down there, right? If you're curious about how that trip went and what I was up to, go to darkartscoffeeco.com. All right, QR code is on the back, and they'll tell you everything you need to know. Let's get back to the segment.
And I would resurface every once in a while. Sometimes guys would come down to see me. They wouldn't last very long. They would head back out immediately. And it got to be very dark. And, I OD'd down there a couple of times, and I remember one time I woke up and it was Mother's Day. And I remember calling my mom, and I was all junked out. And I remember after that conversation, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I knew I needed to pull myself out of that. And it kind of went right back to the time when, I told you the only reason I made it through Buds was I didn't want to let my parents down. And I sure as hell didn't want my parents to get a notice weeks later that their son had OD'd on cocaine in a penthouse in Colombia, and who knows how long that would take to even get to them. So it had painted this picture in my head, and I started seeking help.
And that's the biggest thing, guys, is seeking help. All right. A lot of guys do get help, but some don't. All right. In the case of Shawn Ryan, he was able to figure out, you know what, there's more to life. My mom and dad means a lot to me. Let me go get some help. But in instances where some of these guys that join our community, let's be honest, man, like they're not recruited because they're choir boys. They're not recruited because they have, a good childhood, or they have mom and dad there to guide them, through life. Most of us don't have that, right? So when they do get to the point where they hit rock bottom, and once they start going down those paths that they can't necessarily recover from, a lot of them don't have mom, dad, brother, sister, teammates to be able to pull them out of that, right? And before you know it, guys, they're dead somewhere, they're in jail, and they don't know what to do with themselves, right? And oftentimes, it does lead to suicide. So I wanted to hit on this to show you guys that what we are seeing unfolding, whether it's in the book that just came out about the cartel activities around Fort Bragg, or Shawn Ryan going to, Latin America and establishing a cocaine ring, guys, that type of stuff happen more often than you think, especially when there's no war going on. Because people like myself, like Shawn, and like others, we sign up to go to war. We sign up for chaos. And when there's no chaos, we oftentimes recreate it ourselves, right? Appreciate Shawn sharing this, because again, a lot of people need to hear this, because when you look at us, you think you put us on these, pedestal, not realizing, guys, we're a bunch of damaged individuals that'll unleash in whatever countries we're in. And once we get brought back to society and it's calm all the way around, we oftentimes go out and we create our own chaos. Let me know what you guys think about this segment. I appreciate you guys. Went down to Colombia not too long ago, so grab you a bag of Dark Arts coffee. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.